Cool. So this is our team. So we are Rito Ora Community Breastfeeding and Nutrition Advice. And what we do is we give information on infant feeding from pregnancy through to when babies are about age 2. We work in the community and we do home visits, and we also have a clinic out at Pukekohe Maternity on a Thursday. Now, how we treat mastitis has been updated. The changes to the protocol can look quite different to the older protocol. And staying up to date with recent evidence-based practice means that we can all work together to deliver consistent messages to the women that we all see. Some women that we see do talk about, getting really conflicting advice, which can feel a little bit unfair for the women. So it's great that you've all come along tonight to learn a little bit about the updated guidelines.
Right, so research has shown us that mastitis is inflammation in the breast, and as you can see here, it's looked at as a bit of a continuum. So we start off with the hardness when your milk comes in. If the milk's not shifted or the colostrum's not moved with effective feeding, then that's when we come and fall into a bit of engorgement, which I know you've all seen. When there's engorgement, the body starts to see that as an injury, and so it sets up that inflammatory response. So your body sends those extra white cells, and this extra fluid is creating, there's a lot more activity creating more fluid and more inflammation. Leading on to blocked ducts, which we'll see why very soon. And then moving on to inflammatory mastitis, and then infective mastitis if it's not treated. We don't actually know, don't have a good understanding yet of why inflammatory mastitis moves on to infective mastitis, but I mean, we've all seen that, haven't we? One of the risk factors for mastitis is an oversupply or hyperlactation. Studies show us that if treatment is started early for mastitis, most women have complete resolution of symptoms without the need for antibiotics. Look it on. Showing you here is the top picture here, which I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, but the top picture is a normal, healthy milk duct. And so you can see that it's there's some space there, the milk flows through, the coloured bits on the sides are just showing a bit of bacteria that sits around the sides of the milk duct, a little bit of good bacteria, a little bit of not so good bacteria, but it's sitting there and it's in an equilibrium, so it's fine. And then we get that inflammation and that extracellular activity, so you can see how that milk duct is narrowed and there's less space for the milk to flow, which is what we see, right? And yeah, less space looking down at the duct there. So less milk flow shows the last picture where the milk is backing up, not because it's a big lump of milk that's clogged up and sitting there, but because you can see that milk duct is getting blocked off and the milk cannot flow out of it. So you can see that our old treatment, which is put on some heat and really try and massage that lump out, is not going to work because the duct's blocked and the milk can't get out, right? So now we're just going to, and you can see why massage and heat doesn't work. So now we're going to look at what will help.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see the top part, but it basically says no massage because it is inflammation. So we treat inflammation in the breast in the same way that we'd treat inflammation on a swollen ankle. Looking at this ankle on your screen, you would not want to massage that. That would be particularly painful and could further inflame the area. So when it comes to that spectrum of inflammation, treat it like you would treat a swollen ankle. And we'll break that down over the next few slides. Okay, so we have we've developed a bit of a way to remember the updated protocol, and that's by using the acronym BREAST. Very fitting, right? So updated mastitis treatment. We'll break this all right down in the next few slides. Okay, so this one here is just about breastfeeding to Q. What has changed so we don't overfeed or overpump, and that always cuts out the last part of that video. So my apologies for that. See if we can go back and pause that little video for you. It's just a good latching baby. So don't overfeed or overpump. Really, we're trying to avoid the hyperlactation. Just breastfeed to baby's needs. Cut out again. So just kind of physiological breastfeeding was the point of that one.
And then just like you treat a swollen ankle, we elevate and we ice. So ice cold packs, so really icy cold packs is what we've found that is effective. Suggest for 20 minutes on the red or inflamed area. And it can be every hour or two, especially in the first instance, to try and really get on top of it. What we have found in our practice, we really have to spell out to mamas that it's icy cold we want. We've had times when we've talked about ice cold compresses, but I've found mum's been putting just a cold pack, a pack that says cold pack, not even been in the fridge, on the breast. I think someone else has found that mum has used wet ones because they felt cold on her breast. Really is icy cold we want to spell out to them. Some of the ways that we suggest that they do that is ice packs like you can see in the picture there. Frozen veggies are really good. They mold around the breast really nicely, cover a nice big area. Can throw them back in the freezer and use them again in the next hour or two. Something else, we're just, trying to find things that we can use within the house if they don't have cold packs, and we don't want to suggest they're going out and buying stuff. Sometimes some cloths, like some small hand towels, and that, wet them, wring out the water, stick them in the freezer, and they go all crispy within half an hour to an hour. Do a few. They work well because they're nice and icy crispy. You can wrap them around the breast nicely, but they do warm up quite quickly if the breast is warm, so you need to swap them out to keep it really cold. And sometimes this is the ideal. Sometimes in practicality, if a mum's got a newborn and a couple of toddlers in a busy household, sometimes it's even about suggesting that even if they put the ice pack inside their bra for 20 minutes while they're needing to do things, ideal is to be lying down to do it. But yeah, we've got to do what works for mums. And this picture is just showing you why taking the icing and taking away some of that extra edema that's formed in the breast because of the inflammation. You can see in that first picture, we've got the swelling of the distended alveoli, but look at the milk ducts, they're quite thin. And that's part of why that milk just can't get out. And then once you've iced, moving on to the next picture, just how widened those ducts are so we can get a lot more milk flow and get that milk shifting. So that's the point of the icing.
Okay, so this one is the letter E, and it's in line with, treating breast inflammation like you treat inflammation for a swollen ankle. So E is to elevate the breast, like you'd put your leg up if you hurt your ankle. So you elevate your breast by lying down, lying flat on your back. It's a good idea to ask mum to do this sometimes right before a feed, can be helpful. And then for our particularly busy, often molted mamas, lying down isn't always the most practical advice. So working with the mum, in an ideal world, yes, they would lie down, but sometimes we've found that for some mums, they just pop an ice pack in their bra and kind of walk around with it. Not ideal, not elevating, but it's kind of meeting people where they already are. Okay, now as midwives, all really aware of prescribing and kind of safety with prescribing. So you know your woman, you know whether analgesia or anti-inflammatories are appropriate for them. So they can be used particularly if we're thinking about mastitis and things like inflammation, engorgement like inflammation.
And lymphatic drainage, so seek support for lymphatic drainage. So lymphatic drainage is a technique that's used for other parts of the body after surgeries and for other reasons when there's edema to help that lymph system. So we're using the ice and the elevating and the ice to drain away some of that extra fluid and cellular activity, and to take the pressure off the milk ducts so the milk can flow. And then we want that lymphatic system to get cracking and shift that fluid away and take it away from the breast. So this is a really good handout. I think it explains it really clearly and simply, the techniques, so we can give this to mums and we send it by phone, etc. So as you can see, it's describing that we're doing 10 small circles up in the clavicle area, towards the mid-center of the breast, then up under the area, in the axilla, yeah, and just 10 simple circles as well, with a little bit of firmness and pressure, but not deep massage, and then some stroking on the breast away from the nipple, and it's just gentle. It's described as like petting a cat, and you're kind of like lifting the skin as you're doing it, just really gently. And so I suggest to mums that they do that if they're lying down for that 20 minutes with the ice on. That last 5 minutes of the 20 minutes, they could be doing a little bit of lymphatic drainage. And remember, it's not massage, so there's no massage. This is different. It's just that very light touch. So we're not massaging.
And reach out to your local breastfeeding services in Counties Manukau. That's Rito Ora and B4Baby. So refer on. You're all really, really busy, midwives as well. So, sometimes we can't always visit the mums as much as we want to when we're really busy, and that's part of how a breastfeeding service can complement your care.
Right, so we said before that hyperlactation or oversupply can be a risk factor for developing mastitis. We find it's more commonly developed. Mums with a real hyperlactation often have numerous bouts of mastitis. So because it is, we want to avoid products and devices that increase milk supply. And there's so many products out there that are marketed to women nowadays to make money out of breastfeeding, really. Social media as well, and really puts a huge influence, is a huge influence with women. They see photos of haka pumps full of milk. They see women showing their freezer stashes, huge, whole trays of frozen breast milk, which undermines mothers and makes them feel that they don't have enough milk because they're not doing that or not able to do that. And so then they end up increasing their supply unnecessarily. They just need to make enough milk for their baby. And some of these devices actually suction onto the breast too, which we find used regularly create quite a lot of edema around the areola area, which leads to damage, but also more latching issues, because the landscape's changed for that baby with all that swelling around the areola. Those wearable pumps, they can be very convenient, but if they only fit really well on certain breast shapes and sizes, and because mums can walk around, I often talk to mums that have been wearing their pumps for like an hour or so pumping, because they can get up and do other things, so they just, well, why not have it on for an hour, but then end up getting quite sore, damaged nipples. Silverettes can be a little controversial as well. They can help if they're used for little short periods to just stop the clothes rubbing on the nipples and that, but often if the milk's leaking into them, those nipples are sitting in a little pool of breast milk, and we'll see quite soggy nipples, a bit like when you've been in the bath too long and you're wrinkly and soggy, and so then often they break down or become really painful. The milk catchers as well can be the same problem, but more about creating that edema. They are, Oh,
So this brings us right back to just breastfeeding normally. So physiological breastfeeding. Keep it really, really simple. I think all the products on the previous page, oh, it does it with that same video, doesn't it?
yeah.
The products on the previous page can be thought of as tools. We kind of need the right tool for the right situation, not just to use it because they've seen it on Instagram or they were given it at a baby shower and everyone else is using them. So just latching baby directly to the breast can really help to be preventative, um, to avoid that spectrum of inflammation. So latching baby directly as well as good position and latch and that responsive feeding, just feeding normally when the baby's queuing the feeds, so not kind of trying to put baby in a routine and dragging out the feeds and things like that. Or yeah.
Something else to watch out for is just when mums are pumping and bottle feeding, just to be pumping enough for their baby and not over pumping and putting a whole lot in the freezer as well, because putting them at risk again. Sorry, Alicia.
Okay, so we have a little bit of mastitis information that's marketed to mums, so it is kind of said in everyday language that is on our Facebook page, up on our Instagram, and on YouTube, and we'll be uploading this video to YouTube as well. Okay, I'll stop the recording. Does anyone have any questions?